The galaxy had heard the warning once. Humanity had sent one clear message to every empire, every fleet, every council. Do not threaten Earth or humanity. This is your only warning. For decades, humans had lived quietly among the stars. They traded. They explored. They built fleets not for conquest, but for survival. They came from a planet that had tested them through centuries of storms, famine, predators, and disaster. Humanity had learned to adapt, to survive, to fight, and to wait. Some empires did not listen. They laughed at the warning. They mocked Earth, calling humans weak, inexperienced, and naive. Some saw it as an opportunity to strike first, to steal resources, or to prove their dominance. The first attack came quietly. Small strike fleets entered human-controlled space. Mining stations and research outposts were targeted. Explosions rocked the colonies, and ships were destroyed faster than they could call for help. But humans did not respond with anger. They did not immediately retaliate. They watched. They studied. Every movement of the enemy fleet was tracked. Every tactic was analyzed. Every weakness was remembered. Then, when the enemy least expected it, the first human counterstrike began. Command ships of the intruding fleet were disabled in seconds. Communication networks failed. Squadrons became trapped in deadly formations of their own making. Small warships collided or drifted helplessly in the void. Human weapons did not destroy planets. They did not target civilians. They struck at military targets, supply lines, and strategic nodes. Every attack was calculated. Every strike precise. No action was wasted, no effort misused. A human message then appeared on all enemy channels. Calm, measured, but deadly clear. You overstep. Leave our space. This is your only warning. Panic spread through the enemy ranks. Officers shouted orders that could not be obeyed. Ships fired blindly, weapons hitting nothing. Shields flared against attacks they could not track. The fleets that had thought themselves safe were falling apart. More human ships appeared, one after another, appearing from angles impossible to predict. Hulls dark and engines silent, their movements precise, almost unnatural. It was as if they had been everywhere at once. Within minutes, the enemy fleet was shattered. Entire squadrons were destroyed or disabled. Commanders realized too late that this was only a fraction of the full human force. The main fleets had yet to arrive. As the smoke of battle cleared, human ships did not celebrate. They did not broadcast victory. They simply hovered along the borders, watching, waiting, silent and patient. Back at the Galactic Council, alarms rang. Reports came flooding in. The Vorkari and other empires demanded reinforcements, but the message from Earth was clear. Humanity was in control. The ancient alliance that had first warned the galaxy spoke quietly. We told you. Humanity is not an enemy you survive. Across the stars, the lesson spread. The galaxy began to understand the consequences of ignoring humanity. The deathworlders had given their warning, and the consequences of ignoring it were only just beginning to unfold. The galaxy had seen the first strike, but it had yet to see the full strength of humanity. The galaxy had watched the first strike with shock. Yet, the humans were not finished. They had prepared for this moment for decades. Every fleet, every ship, every captain knew exactly what to do. The first human counterstrike began silently. Engines barely flared. Weapons remained powered down. Yet sensors detected enemy movements instantly. Every attack, every formation, every weakness was known before the enemy even realized it. The first targets were command ships. Humans struck without hesitation. Communication networks went dark. Enemy fleets were cut off from each other. Squadrons became trapped in deadly formations. colliding or drifting helplessly in the void. The humans did not destroy planets. They did not attack civilian worlds. They struck where it mattered most: military stations, supply lines, and fleet command hubs. Every strike was precise, measured, and devastating. Across enemy channels, a single human voice echoed, calm yet commanding, "You were warned. This is your only chance. Leave our space." Panic spread quickly. Officers shouted orders they could not execute. Weapons fired blindly at invisible targets. Shield generators flared against attacks that sensors could not detect. Entire fleets that had believed themselves invincible were crumbling. Then, the full human fleet appeared. One ship after another emerged from angles the enemy never expected. Dark hulls, silent engines, precise movements like shadows moving through space. They struck without warning, dismantling enemy formations with surgical efficiency. The enemy attempted to regroup, but it was futile. Supply lines were cut. Reinforcements could not reach frontline units. Command networks were paralyzed. Every attempt to counterattack failed. Every move had been predicted. The enemy realized too late that this was only the first wave. The main human fleets were still beyond scanners, moving into position for further strikes. Humanity did not need to chase. They controlled the battlefield simply by being where they were, unseen and unstoppable. Reports from the front lines came in, each more terrifying than the last. Entire squadrons were disabled without a single human ship taking damage. Strategic outposts fell in minutes. Communication networks failed galaxy-wide. Commanders realized that the humans did not fight for revenge. They fought to remove threats permanently. The Vorkari High Admiral, once proud and confident, sat frozen. This is only the beginning," he whispered. The Galactic Council watched in stunned silence. Smaller empires shivered. Traders paused shipments. Diplomats reconsidered every negotiation. Humanity's first strike had not only dismantled fleets but shattered assumptions about what humans were capable of. Human ships did not celebrate. They did not broadcast their victory. They simply hovered, silent and patient, ready for the next threat. Across the galaxy, one message became clear: humanity warns once. Ignore it at your peril. The Deathworlders had shown the galaxy their strength, but the full extent of their power had yet to be revealed. The galaxy was changing. News of humanity's first counterstrike spread faster than any fleet. Traders paused shipments. Diplomats reconsidered negotiations. Military leaders studied new strategies. Every empire realized one truth: humans are not to be underestimated. The Vorkari Empire, once proud and confident, was shaken to its core. Commanders whispered among themselves. How could a species from a so-called death world dismantle their fleets with such precision? How could humans strike without being seen, without warning, and without unnecessary destruction? Galactic scholars dug into ancient records. They studied Earth's history. Humans had survived storms that flattened cities, plagues that killed millions, predators that hunted without mercy, and famine that lasted generations. They had endured wars on their own planet before even reaching space. Every challenge had forced them to adapt, to think fast, to survive against impossible odds. Humans did not seek revenge. They did not fight for glory. They fought to survive and to remove threats before they became danger. Their fleets were decentralized. Every squadron could act independently. Every captain could make life or death decisions. No single fleet could be destroyed to cripple humanity entirely. Across the stars, fear spread. Empires that had once ignored Earth now calculated differently. Borders shifted. Trade routes changed. Rivalries softened. The lesson was clear: Ignore humanity and you risk extinction. The Deathworlders' reputation grew with every report. They could strike anywhere, anytime, and with perfect timing. They could dismantle fleets silently, without unnecessary destruction. They could remove threats with precision, and they waited, patient, silent, always ready. The Vorkari commanders realized their arrogance had been fatal. They had assumed humans were weak, that Earthlings would beg for mercy. But humans did not beg. Humans survived. And humans punished only when necessary, but fully and without error. Across the Galactic Council, the Ancient Alliance spoke quietly but firmly. Humans do not fight for glory. They fight to end threats. And once tested, they do not forgive mistakes. The Vorkari fleets, the first to challenge humanity, were shattered. Supplies gone. Communications destroyed. Command nodes disabled. And yet, no civilian world was harmed. Humanity's restraint was deliberate and terrifying. Reports arrived from outer systems. Human fleets were spreading along multiple star lanes. Not attacking planets, not causing destruction, just surrounding enemy territory. Every empire understood the meaning. Humans were patient predators. They did not rush. They did not make mistakes. They waited for the right moment to act decisively. Across the galaxy, leaders began to teach their children the same lesson. Never underestimate humans. Never test them. Never ignore their warnings. Humanity was not reckless. Humanity was not cruel. Humanity was the ultimate. Survivor Dot and the galaxy had only begun to feel the consequences of ignoring the first warning. The Deathworlders had sent a message that would echo through generations. You have one warning. Ignore it at your peril. The arrogant empires believed they could regain control. They thought humanity had limits, that the first strikes were just warnings, not the full force of Earth's fleets. They were wrong. In desperation, a massive fleet was assembled. Hundreds of warships moved into human-controlled space, intent on destroying what they saw as scattered and weak fleets. The Vorkari and their allies believed this was their final chance to strike, before humans became unstoppable. But humans had anticipated every move. From the edges of space, fleets moved silently into strategic positions. Engines flared minimally. Weapons remained ready but hidden. Every enemy movement was tracked instantly. Every tactic predicted. Every weakness noted. The first contact was sudden and devastating. Command ships vanished from sensors. Communication networks failed. Entire squadrons became trapped or collided helplessly. Humans did not destroy planets. They did not attack civilians. They struck where it mattered most: supply lines, military stations, and fleet command hubs. Every attack was precise. Every strike intentional. Across enemy channels, a human voice spoke calmly. You attacked first. This ends now. Panic spread. Ships fired blindly. Shields flared uselessly. Officers shouted orders that could not be followed. Fleets scattered. Military coordination collapsed. Human ships moved like shadows, appearing from angles no scanner could detect. Strategic nodes fell. Supply chains were severed. Reinforcements trapped. Entire operations destroyed in hours. The Vorkari High Admiral, once confident and proud, froze in disbelief. They are not attacking cities. They are dismantling our fleets. Civilian worlds remained untouched. Human fleets did not seek revenge, they sought to end the threat, efficiently and completely. The enemy empire realized their fatal error. They had ignored humanity's warning. They had assumed Earthlings were weak, naive, or slow. They had insulted the most dangerous species in the galaxy, survivors who never forgot and never forgave. Carelessness. Human fleets paused at the borders of enemy capitals. They did not advance further. They did not strike civilian planets. They simply waited, silent, patient, watching. A final broadcast echoed across the empire. We do not seek war. We do not conquer. But we will end threats before they end us. For the first time, the Vorkari feared survival more than battle. Their pride shattered, their fleets destroyed, their empire humbled, but alive. Humanity had shown restraint, yet no mercy was wasted where it counted. The galaxy understood the new truth. Humans do not fight for glory. They do not attack recklessly. They survive. And if threatened, they end the danger completely. Humanity's patience was vast, but not infinite. The final warning had been given. The consequences of ignoring it were clear. The galaxy was silent. The Vorkari Empire lay broken. Its fleets destroyed. Its defenses shattered. Yet humanity did not celebrate. They did not shout victory. They simply waited calm, patient, and ready. A human representative appeared on every galactic channel. Their voice was clear, steady, and unwavering. We do not seek war. We do not seek enemies. But if threatened again, our restraint is gone. You will not survive a second mistake. The message spread to every system. Every empire listened. Every fleet stopped. Every leader understood the warning. Humanity had patience, but patience was not infinite. Human fleets began to withdraw, leaving the borders silent but guarded. Every planet, every colony, every fleet was protected. Humanity did not need to conquer. They needed only to survive and to remind the galaxy of the consequences of arrogance. The Vorkari begged for mercy. They offered treaties, tribute, pledges of loyalty. Humanity accepted none verbally. Instead, one final broadcast reached every system. Do not insult Earth. Do not attack humanity again. We survive, always. The galaxy understood clearly. Humans were not conquerors. Humans were survivors. And the cost of ignoring their warning was immense. Over the next decades, borders shifted. Trade routes changed. Old rivalries softened. Every empire remembered the first warning and the swift, precise human response that followed. Children of all species grew up learning the same lesson. Never underestimate humans. Never ignore their warnings. On Earth, life returned to quiet normalcy. Cities thrived. Scientists explored new frontiers. Starships traveled to distant systems, not to conquer, but to discover. Yet humanity remained vigilant. Fleets patrolled silently. Training continued. Eyes remained on the stars. Humans remembered. They remembered centuries of struggle. They remembered lost worlds, hunger, betrayal, and fire. And they promised themselves one truth: never again. The Vorkari survived, but their empire was forever changed. They had learned that humanity's restraint was vast, but not limitless. Humanity's response was measured, but absolute when necessary. A final broadcast echoed across the galaxy. We do not seek enemies. We do not seek war. But if attacked again, we end threats completely. We survive, always. The galaxy understood. Humans were not monsters. They were not conquerors. They were survivors, and in a universe full of predators that made them the most dangerous of all.